Hello, and welcome to the Earth Chats podcast. I'm your host, Sahara. I'm an activist, writer, speaker, and listener with a passion for creating change in our world. Join me and special guests weekly as we have inspiring conversations and reveal insightful knowledge, tips, and tricks on how you can live more mindfully on this planet. Tune in every Wednesday and make sure to hit subscribe to stay up to date with all the latest episodes. And now, without further ado, let's get on with the episode. As a special gift to our listeners, BMDM Digital has created a 52-page free social media training guide that will help you ignite your social media. You can download your free copy in the link below. Thanks so much for coming on the show today.
Thanks for having me.
We've got Trent Pike, who is like some kind of genius creating all kinds of amazing things. We're going to get into it. Before we do, can you just start off with a little snapshot of who Trent Pike is?
Who Trent Pike is? I hate speaking about myself, so I'm going to keep it as short as possible. But basically, I'm a typical millennial.
Okay.
I'm vegan, which is kind of what most millennials are these days. I care a lot about the planet. I care a lot about friends and friendships. And in terms of maybe outlook on life, I'm liberal, which is also a millennial thing, and I value people more than, I guess, achievements or profit or anything like that, and that kind of drives my business approach as well. Other than that, I'm from Cape Town. I'm 26. I went to UCT. I was studying a Bachelor of Business Science in Economics and Stats. I haven't finished yet. I dropped out or deferred for kind of this business, which I think was the good move. I'm not sure yet. Yeah, but yeah, that's basically me in as small of a nutshell as possible.
In a little nutshell. Cool. Well, now that we know a little background, can you please tell us about your amazing company, Mielie Mailer? It is, honestly, when I first heard about it, I was like, this is so genius. So please tell us about it. It's absolutely amazing.
Thank you. So Mielie Mailer, it's my second successful business. I've started many, as any entrepreneur knows. There are more failures than successes, or more. I wouldn't even call them failures. Just more opportunity. You learn more from your failures anyway. So it's not really a failure, but more failures than successes. And Mielie Mailer is basically a company that's trying to tackle the plastic crisis or plastic pollution crisis, as well as climate change at the same time. In my opinion, they're the two most important or biggest crises facing our current generation and our planet. So when I started Mielie Mailer with my two partners, we wanted to combat kind of those two aspects, climate change and plastic pollution, in a South African context. And basically what we do is we looked at, or how we started is we looked at what retail or what sector in South Africa is growing, because right now we're in a tough economy, people aren't spending money, most industries are down. So we wanted to tackle an industry that was growing, because a growing industry means a bigger reliance on plastic use, and more obviously more carbon emissions and more pollution. So we kind of latched down on e-commerce as that main sector, and we supply single-use plastic alternatives to the traditional courier bag. So if you get a delivery by any of the big guys, DHL, Aramex, they come in those big plastic bags, and we do replacements. So our bags are 100% home compostable plastic alternatives, which means no plastic pollution, which is first of all fantastic and amazing. Yeah. We also then, thanks. We also then we added on kind of another aspect to it, which is our carbon emission offset. So when a parcel is delivered in that bag anywhere in South Africa, not only is it the plastic-free delivery, but the emissions generated from the delivery vehicle from location A to location B. We calculate and then we offset by, currently we have a tree planting partner who plants trees in Africa, Rwanda, Kenya, but we're looking at other kind of carbon negative innovations, which will hopefully have an even more local feel than not just Africa, but South Africa. But yeah, so that's Mielie Mailer. I think
amazing. Yeah, no, that's amazing. And so when is it like, can you choose if you want your delivery to come in a Mielie Mailer, or does the company have to be, I guess, partnered with you in order to have them?
Yeah, a company does have to be partnered with us. So there are three ways to there are three ways which we approach clients, and three ways which customers can kind of benefit from, or the planet can benefit from customers choosing eco-friendly delivery. One is, we've spoken to and are speaking to a lot of courier companies where in their kind of supply chain, when an e-commerce store wants to get something delivered, they will have the option to choose our bags straight from the courier company. Right now, most of our customers buy the bags straight from us, and then instead of using the e-com or the courier company plastic bag, they rather pack in our bag and then send it off. And then a lot of bigger clients are actually doing custom branding with us. So you'll get a parcel in like a branded mailer, which is a Mielie Mailer, but also with the company's branding. But yeah, the company has to have partnered with us or have bought product from us for the time being, and then soon to be, they can just ask if their courier company has partnered with us. They can then just choose the green option. But yeah, that's kind of how companies get.
So do you have a lot of courier companies that are partnered with you?
We haven't got anything concrete with the courier companies yet. They're not like startups. They're not that startup mentality where it's just like, cool, let's go and let's get it done in a month. Things take a while. It has to go through all the channels and through all the steps and get approved by all the right guys. But we have Yoko, for example, which do those card machines. I'm sure you've seen them before. Most small businesses in South Africa use them, and they're partnered with us. So whenever a small business gets a Yoko device, it'll be in a Mielie Mailer, which is super, super cool. And then a whole lot of small Cape Town businesses have bought stock and are slowly starting to deliver in plastic-free. So that's also super cool. But obviously, for convenience, because I think convenience drives most decisions, we want to partner with a courier company, because then any company doesn't have an excuse not to choose the green option. If you know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, that's so cool. So I'm very intrigued because the mailers are made out of mielies that are not suitable for human consumption anymore. But what is actually the process of it? And what part of the mielies is actually made? And how did you come to the decision to use mielies in the first place?
Mielies.
Yeah.
Okay, so firstly, mielies are one of the most abundant crops on the planet. I think by weight, they're number 1 or 2 in terms of production. So there's a lot of mielies being produced, or corn as they're known, or maize, whatever you want to call them, being produced. And as a result, there's a lot of wastage. Mielies that don't look right or get a little bit bruised or destroyed during collection and planting, or so basically there's a lot of waste.
So much.
Yes, and food waste, I'm sure you also know, is a massive contributor to climate change, a massive polluter of greenhouse gases and stuff. So basically, by taking this waste and repurposing it into a product with another reuse, we're eliminating kind of greenhouse gas emissions right then and there. But because there's so much waste, technologies have developed over the last couple of years, which have taken the mielies or corn and they've invented ways to produce those into usable plastics inverted commas, because they're not plastics. Yeah. But it's important to note that our mailers aren't just made out of mielies. They're actually made out of a hybrid blend of a few bio-based and non-bio-based materials. And the reason we have that hybrid blend is because we need our mailers to act like plastic in certain ways, which is waterproof, tear-proof, flexible, durable while in use, but then act like basically a piece of food in other ways, which is when you put it in a compost environment, it's going to disappear into nothing but organic matter. So in terms of the millies, basically, the millies are turned into two things. They're turned into cornstarch, which is the same stuff that you would get in a supermarket, stuff that you use for cooking and baking. And then it's also turned into PLA, which stands for polylactic acid. And polylactic acid is basically you take the old millie stock, the whole thing, all the food, chuck it in a fermentation tank, bring it up to an extremely high temperature. You throw some enzymes in there, and you basically let it ferment and cook in this tank. Then you cool it right down, and you turn it into these basically plastic or resin pellets. So it ends up looking like the same form of plastic, and that makes it extremely versatile. And then from those pellets, you are able to then produce basically alternatives to petroleum-based plastics and plastics that last forever. So it's super cool.
Wow, that is incredible. Jeez, that is really amazing. So
it is an old technology. It's not our technology, but we use it in a quite a unique way. Yeah.
Unique, for sure. That's amazing. So I listened to, you had a podcast or an interview a little while ago, and this is how I found about what you're doing. And in there you mentioned that the mailers are made in China, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So my question is,
why
in China? And have you ever thought of bringing it here? Now I'm guessing it's probably something to do with it, maybe them having the technologies to make it, or something like that. Of course, you do plant trees to offset your carbon, but I'm just wondering if production would ever come to South Africa.
Yes, I love that question. I get asked about it all the time, and it's so great to see how many people are concerned with local production. It's the best thing, because our economy is struggling. We're suffering from an unemployment crisis, and we need more. We need more local production. We need to create more jobs, and that is the ultimate goal of Mielie Mailer. On our 5-year roadmap, local production is front and center. Like, how do we get from where we are right now to locally produced product? But that all being said, obviously we're a very new business. We only started September last year, and we're bootstrapping the entire thing. Yeah.
Wow.
Very. Yeah. And we're bootstrapping the entire thing ourselves. So there are cash flow constraints. And for me personally, I've been dealing with China literally since I was 11. I was importing things. I was,
Oh, wow.
It's kind of just been something I've always done. So I have good relationships there that I've established over the years, people I can trust, people who can do due diligence for me on that side of the world, make sure things are running right. And I also have a really good process about how to deal with China, importing regulations, etc. And ultimately, this kind of idea or business idea came out of a place of anxiety or eco-anxiety, as I'm sure you experience. You know about climate change, and you start feeling a little hopeless and helpless. Like, what can I do? And this idea was born from that. And I'm quite an impatient person. I just want to get out there and make a difference and make a change. So we chose China because, like you said, they have technology, they have the supply chains. We are able to, remove plastic bags from South Africa and from production and from circulation, like right now, which is so powerful, and we're able to, sequester carbon from the atmosphere and turn e-commerce deliveries from carbon emitting to carbon capturing, right now. And that was kind of the most important things for us to do first. And we're going to build up capital. We're going to bring production local, but it is on our 5-year roadmap. It is quite an expensive thing, bringing production or building a production facility. It is insanely difficult, but it is on our 5-year roadmap. And I love that you asked that question, because it's a super important question to ask.
Yeah, no, but I think for sure, I think so many people sometimes they want to do something and they get sort of caught up in trying to do it 100% right. And I think the biggest thing is we just need to start.
Yes.
And once you start, then you can go back and, get it all right. But
Correct.
once you've started, at least, yeah, like you said, then you can actually start making the difference, start eliminating plastic and start doing that. And you're doing it in the best way possible. So
Yes, exactly.
then once you get bigger and once the demand gets more, then you can just bring it right here.
Yep.
So that's fantastic, fantastic. Actually, on the topic of China now, has the coronavirus impacted this at all since you have to bring them over?
Yes, it has. It has impacted a little bit. So basically, the coronavirus kind of happened. I'm not sure of my timelines exactly, but it was just before or just during the Chinese holiday, the New Year break, which is usually a 10-day break. And basically, because of this outbreak, the Chinese government extended the holiday from 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 meaning to end on, I think, the 6th or 7th of February to only ending at the end of February. So there's a whole extra 3 weeks where China wasn't actually producing.
Okay, wow.
And luckily, we had already we already had stuff on the way, and we'd already had a lot of our production done, so it didn't affect us too much. And actually, there is also, this is off topic a little bit, but I'm sure you've seen that the coronavirus has actually decreased emissions quite a lot in China,
Yes,
which is pretty cool.
I have. I know. It's like everybody is like freaking out about it, and then I'm like posting the articles of like there's less pollution over China, like. But true, it's like kind of like a blessing in disguise kind of thing.
Yes, yeah. I guess as with anything, the positives and the negatives, and one of the positives was a massive reduction in pollution, and
Yeah.
I hope that it also causes maybe a bit of social change in China. As the
Yeah.
Chinese start living in an environment where there's no pollution, they can breathe properly and stuff. They might
Yeah.
start being like, actually, we
Taking
should
it
start
more
demanding
serious.
this. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
But yeah, so it has affected us a little bit, but we managed to weather the storm, and everything's back up and running at the moment.
Fantastic, fantastic. I'm quickly interrupting this episode to bring you a little message from our amazing sponsors who've made this episode possible. I live in the beautiful town of Naisna in the Garden Route, and I want to invite everyone to visit this fantastic part of our country. We have everything: indigenous forests, nature reserves, awesome views, beautiful beaches, and natural wildlife. Come for a dream vacation. Oh, and I almost forgot. Naisna has some of the best restaurants you will find anywhere. Follow us on Instagram at visitgardenroute, where we will introduce you to our fantastic and favorite people, places, and things to visit. This is us on Instagram at visitgardenroute. And now, without further ado, let's get on with the rest of the episode. So, what is your market for the mailers? And do you get a lot of companies buying them in? And is it mostly in South Africa, or do you go global as well?
So currently, all our clients are South African. We're in the sampling stage with one or two international courier companies.
That's amazing.
So that would be an international kind of thing, which would be incredible. That's our ultimate goal, is to reduce plastic use everywhere. But right now, our market is South Africa. We have a few core clients which are quite large. And then we have a lot of just small local companies which buy 100 at a time, which buy 1,000 at a time, which buy 5,000 at a time. And that's kind of our bread and butter at the moment. And those small companies get a lot of brand value from partnering with us, because customers can see when they receive a parcel that it's plastic free and that it's carbon negative. And we get a lot of brand value from that as well, because it's with our brand and mailers. So it's like kind of a win-win for both of us. But yeah, our core business is definitely smaller companies, because those are the companies that usually want to make the change first. It's local businesses. They already have this mindset of local is better, minimalism, conscious consumption, all those great things. And that's where it's been really nice to see that they want to jump on board and get behind this. But it's also been nice to see big companies, especially with Yoko. I'll bring Yoko up again, just because I didn't reach out to Yoko, or we didn't reach out to Yoko at all. They reached out to us.
Wow.
And they don't have any incentive to actually make the change to plastic free. because they're delivering to other businesses. There's no consumer backlash from them. Most consumers wouldn't even realize that they're using plastic bags to deliver stuff. You know what I mean? So it's really nice to see that come out of a place of real concern for the planet and the environment. But yeah, so mostly South Africa, or actually completely South Africa, with hopefully, fingers crossed, some big things coming.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna tell like everybody that I know that runs a business in NICE, I'm gonna tell them about you guys, because I think everybody should just be using them. I think everybody should just really plastic. This is what I love about this, is that it's such a easy, simple alternative, and the amazing thing is that it's home compostable. Like, a lot of things are compostable, but only if it goes to, like, you know, big industry.
Centralized.
Yes. And then if you throw it in your home compost, it doesn't do anything. It's still there like a month.
It's still there.
You know,
years later.
So it's so cool.
No, thank you. It was actually one of our most important product characteristics, is it had to be home compostable, because you look at recycling and you see all the inefficiencies of recycling, you see the leakage, and you see that it actually doesn't work. Again, like I said, convenience is such a big driver for human decision, and if something isn't convenient, they're not going to do it. And taking your compostable bag and then having to put it in a separate bin or somehow lug it off to an industrial facility is not going to work. Our bags, like you said, are home compostable, but even better, you know, even if it's not a compost environment, even if you just bury it in your garden or bury it in your pot plant, it's still going to compost, which is awesome. So even if someone doesn't even have a garden and they have a pot plant in the house, they can let me put it in a pot plant, and you know it's going to disappear, which is awesome.
And I mean, it makes so much more sense if you just think about it. I don't even get how people came up with this whole idea of just creating waste. I mean, nowhere in nature does nature create waste, and yet somehow we've managed to create waste. It's amazing if you actually think about it. But
no, it is. It's amazing in the worst possible way, right? Because
exactly.
Waste doesn't exist in the natural world at all. Everything's reused and reused, and it's completely circular.
Yeah. Well, that's what we need to start working towards now.
Exactly.
So I want to switch it up a little bit, and I want to chat a bit about like your personal journey with, you know, becoming conscious of the planet and all that kind of stuff. Like, where did that kind of start for you? Did you grow up in Cape Town, or were you like born in the countryside thing?
I grew up in Cape Town. But I've always cared about the planet. I actually remember when I was in grade 6, my geography teacher was telling us how, I don't know how it came up in class, but he was telling us how he used to brush his teeth and leave the tap running. And I remember just being so angry at him, like, how can you do such a terrible thing, you know? Leave the tap on when you're brushing your teeth, like that's the worst thing you can do in the world. But then basically the journey towards kind of maybe this business and towards kind of being as aware as I am started when I was traveling. I sold my previous company. I did really well with it, and me and my partner, we traveled, and we got to spend an incredible amount of time in nature. We basically camped for 6 months in the States, and we visited 20 national parks, and being surrounded by that sort of beauty really makes you appreciate and really makes you conscious of the things that we need to protect. Then I got back to finish my degree, and I did a 10-day meditation course, one of the silent meditations, and it really gave me time to reflect and think about, you know, what do I care about? What is life actually about? What can I do to give back? And that's kind of maybe when this whole thing started. I came out of the Vipassana meditation course really fired up to do something good. Then Greta was everywhere. Greta Thunberg, you know, telling us that you know you've got to do something, and what she's done is incredible. You know, just the whole mindset. What she said was, when someone questioned her about her Friday climate strike, like, how can you give up? How can you not be at school? You know, you should be learning. And you know, her response was kind of like, well, why am I learning things if the future's not going to exist? You know, that's in essence what she said. And that, you know, fired me up even more, and it was just straight to research. with my two partners. I mean, like, what are we going to do to change the world? And this is kind of what we thought about. Yeah. So
Wow,
yeah,
that's
that's
amazing.
kind of that's where the personal journey comes from.
Amazing. No, definitely. I mean, I guess, I mean, I haven't really had any city life. I was grown up, raised in Rainandall, which is like a little rural place outside of small Neisner. And also
Beautiful.
just always surrounded by nature. And I think it's so interesting because everybody that I've talked to so far, whenever I ask them like how their personal journey has gone, a lot of people that have that, it's like they've always, since being small, since being children, have always had like this thing for the planet. And then something will happen and then suddenly it's like you have to do something.
Yes.
And I think
yes, it is
it's amazing. You get like it all clicks into place like that, you know?
Well, how does this start with you? Because you're so young, right? And like, I'm getting pretty old now, so you know, you've started at such a young age, and you're so active, and you're so passionate. So obviously, growing up where you did made all the difference. But what else? What kind of motivated you to get like as you have?
I think we're switching roles here. You're the interviewer now. I think, well, like you're saying, you know, just growing up, always surrounded by nature. My mom, you know, she's actually studied conservation and stuff, and we kind of joke saying that I'm carrying on what she didn't finish because she then, you know, she had kids and she had to have a family and then she had to get a job and everything. But I think she always brought us up very aware of the planet. She went vegetarian when she was 14, so we were raised vegetarian. I've never eaten meat.
Amazing.
Then we also went vegan.
I'm quite jealous.
Well. Now we're all vegan as well, so made that switch around as well. But yeah, just always, I was also homeschooled, so I had all the time in the world to be outside, to do what I wanted, to play mud cakes with my cousins and my sister and build huts and all that kind of stuff. So always very close to nature, and that's just, I guess, kind of how it's been. Like, and I always felt like this thing, like I had to do something. I couldn't just let people, you know, destroy it and destruct the planet as they are. And I mean, when I was 8, I was like determined I was going to be president because I was like the only way that I would be able to like control people.
Makes a difference.
Now I'm like taking a gentler approach. I'm like, you don't have to go and control everybody and become some kind of like eco dictator. But yeah, but I was like, no, have to. But now it's, you know, it's just kind of gone by itself. You know, I mean, I think the biggest thing is just, like you said, starting and just going with it and starting to make that difference. You know, just letting your voice be heard is like the biggest thing. A lot of the time we think, oh, I'm too young, nobody's going to listen to me or anything like that.
Yeah.
And it's not true. I mean, it really is not true. That's definitely what I've learned, is that you can honestly do whatever you want and you don't have to be an adult. And yeah, no, it's been quite amazing so far, and I'm very excited for everything that's still to come.
No, me too. I'm excited to and follow you and see what you get up to. I think you're going to do some great things.
Thank you so much. So I want to chat a little bit actually about veganism, because you're the first guest that I've had on this show that is vegan as well. As far as I know, I don't think any of my other guests were vegan.
I've been vegan for I think 5 years, just over 5 years now. So it's been not as good as you, but I'll get there. I went vegan after I went vegan cold turkey. I know it's not very vegan to say that, but I went vegan cold turkey after I watched Cowspiracy, which I'm sure you've seen. It's a documentary. Yeah, super good. And before that, I had stopped eating pork, and I was from a complete animal welfare point of view. I watched a YouTube video about how incredibly smart pigs are. And I've always had dogs. I've grown up with dogs my whole life, and I love my dogs to death. And then realizing that a pig is smarter than your dog, you know, it just blew my mind. Like, I can't. That's just, how can you be so cruel? And how can you be so hypocritical? Right? You love your dog so much, but then in the same mouthful, you're gonna be eating something that's smarter than your dog. So so that was kind of the pork, and then yeah, I watched Conspiracy, and then I was just like, I can't, you know, if I'm true to myself, I can't, you know, once you know, I think.
Yeah.
Ignorance is bliss, as they say. So yeah, Conspiracy was the defining moment for me. I was heavily influenced by my ex-girlfriend and business partner. She was vegan before we met, and she never pushed it on me, which was really nice. But kind of just, you know, just the way she spoke of animals, and just kindness and stuff really, you know, came through. And you know, I think, yeah, if you truly want to be kind to yourself and to the planet, you kind of have to be vegan. So yeah.
I know. It's like the question of like, can you be an environmentalist without being a vegan? And it's a tricky question, because if you think about it, like, if you are, you know, in any field of environment and you know all these things, like how, just like, you know, consciously and ethically, can you still continue to eat meat? Is like my question.
Exactly.
Because, you know, that's what I don't get. Like, people can, you know, I know people that they know everything. Even, yeah, I know people that know everything about everything, and yet they will not change their own habits. And I find it like, it's a very hard thing sometimes, because you're just like, why? You know, but I guess everybody kind of each their own. And the biggest thing is you can't really force anybody to do anything, because
Exactly.
they're going to resent it even more. But
And it
yeah,
won't last either, right? So if you tell someone they have to do something, they'll do it for as long as you're watching, and then if you're not watching anymore, they're gonna, you know,
exactly,
revert back to what they want to do. So
exactly.
yeah.
Well, it's cool to meet somebody else that's also vegan. But I think the cool
Yeah.
thing is there's a lot more people, especially I think in Cape Town, the movement has become a lot bigger.
No,
Even here
it's
in
been nice.
Knysna. Yeah, even here in Knysna, like, you know, all the restaurants have, you know, a milk alternative, or they have a vegan option on the menu, and it's not like
Yeah.
people don't look at you like you're completely insane. You know, it's starting to become more normal now.
Yes, exactly. So I lived in Australia for 2 years,
Okay.
and when I was there, it was so easy being vegan.
Yeah.
They had a million vegan options, and the vegan stuff wasn't actually more expensive than the normal stuff, or the
Yes.
normal stuff. And when I came back to Cape Town, it was actually kind of a shock. Like,
Yeah.
where are my options? You know, what's going on? I was so spoiled. And then like even now that there are options, no, the options are more expensive. So I hope
Yeah.
that we slowly progress to the prices coming down and it being more accessible, because that's ultimately what needs to happen. For
Yeah.
example, with coffee shops, you know, like I love my coffee. I'm a big coffee fan, but it's quite hard to order a 30 rand cup of coffee and then still to pay an extra 8 rand for a different milk. You know, then
Yeah,
your
I
coffee is
know.
almost like half a meal.
Yeah,
So
no, exactly.
that
Yeah.
definitely does also need to change, because
Yeah,
I think it
for
needs to be
sure.
accessible to everyone. You know, us
Yeah,
who are
100%.
affluent and can afford it, but also people who by choice or by lack of choice cannot make the switch. If you
100%.
know what I mean. Yeah.
100% agree. Yeah, definitely.
Thanks, man. Thank you. Yeah. Speaking about coffee, I got a coffee, so
Ah, perfect.
yeah.
That was perfect timing.
Literally.
So this is like slowly starting to wrap up the interview with my favorite part of the interview, the quick fire round.
Okay, quick round.
So, what does the typical day in the life of Trent Pike look like?
Okay, this is a good question. I did like this question. So I normally wake up around 6 o'clock. Um, Put on my oats. I eat oats for breakfast.
Same
And
here.
then Sam, yeah, just the best start to the day,
Every
right?
day.
I get to work around 7 because I eat breakfast in the car. And then 7 to 10 it's laptop work, so it's research, emails, content, you know, just kind of the stuff that keeps the business chugging along. 10 to 6 is a combination of that sort of work as well as meetings. So I organize meetings after 10 because I need my morning to be relatively peaceful on my terms. And then after 6, I check the weather, and if the surf's good, I grab my surfboard straight to the ocean. If the surf's not so good, get my dogs straight up the mountain. And that's my typical day. But also, I'm quite lucky, obviously, running my own business. If the surf's really good, I'll stop work at 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock, and head straight there, and then catch up the hours later. So I don't really have a typical day, but I try and follow some sort of set routine, because without routine, life can be terrible.
Yeah, you do need a routine to actually get stuff going, for sure.
Yes. No, exactly.
But it sounds like a good full day. So
it is a good day.
It's not too bad. So what is one of the biggest lessons you've learned, and it doesn't have to be career related?
Okay. So this isn't career related. I guess it applies to all aspects of life, and I kind of learned it during my meditation. Just the whole spiritual journey is that we obviously have no control over. It's quite hectic to say, but we don't have any control over what actually happens to us.
True.
That's true. The only control we have is how we choose to react to something. So either react to something, and I guess there are two ways you can react to something: with aversion, not wanting that thing to have happened, and that comes out in anger or frustration or sadness. Or you can react to something with craving, which comes out in longingness and also just not good. So my biggest lesson has been we don't control what happens to us. We control how we react to what happens to us, and I think that kind of defines life. If you can react in ways which are kind and loving, life is better for you and for everyone around you.
Yes, for sure. I was actually just talking to my mom about that like yesterday or something. I don't know what happened, but I was just kind of saying, I was like, can't really control what happens to us, but we can control the way we react to it. And it's actually, in a sense, then you actually kind of have all the control, if you think about it. Because life can throw whatever it wants at you. But if you're like calm, just going with it, then it doesn't have really any control over you.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, on the top of your head, what are 3 things you're grateful for in this moment?
In this moment, my family, my friends, and I guess the fact that it's 2020, and the fact that we have been born in a world where we are able to do what we're doing right now. Connect with so many people, change the world with the internet and technology. And I think I'm grateful for the time period that I'm born in as well, because it's really quite exciting. Scary but exciting.
It's definitely scary but exciting. It's such an amazing time, actually. And like, I don't know, there's something about 2020 that just sounds really good.
It really does. The evenness and it's beautiful. 2020.
Perfect. If we had one day to save the planet, what 3 things would we need to do?
This is my favorite question. It's so good.
I know, my favorite question as well.
So right off the bat, and I think this might be weird of me to say, but the planet doesn't really need saving. I think. Yes. I think often we paint ourselves as saviors, like, oh, we need to save the planet, the human race.
We actually are just saving ourselves.
These pictures, yes, we need to save kind of the world we're living in. So we need to stop climate change. We need to halt species extinction, and that needs to come out of a place of more self-interest than it currently does. I think I do it because I want to stop causing harm, and you do because you want to stop causing harm, right? But I think for like mass change, we need people to realize, wait a minute, it's not just about being a hippie and caring about plants and caring about animals. It's actually about, if you don't do this, your whole world's going to be turned upside down. People are going to die. Your family's going to suffer. You're going to suffer. The economy is going to collapse. Who knows what's going to happen? So I think that would be the first thing I do is like mass, click your fingers, mass enlightenmental education.
Yes.
Like everyone knows how serious the situation is, because let's say we save the world in a day, right? If people don't realize how serious it is in 50 years or in 100 years or in 200 years time, we're just going to be back where we are. You know, nothing. We're just going to we're going to follow that same loop. So I think, you know, like click your fingers, mass education, cool, done. Now we all know that this is pretty serious. Then that's number one. Number two is, you know, we're quite a greedy race actually as people. We just kind of we one species on a planet of millions, and we just pillage and plunder wherever we want to, wherever we feel we can. We have this entitlement that the planet's ours for the taking. And I think that is, you know, I did economics at Boston, and this is a classic tragedy of the commons problem, where everyone acting in their own self-interest, taking more and more and more, thinking about themselves only, and then ultimately everyone suffers. And on that note, I recently read a book by E.O. Wilson. He's a biologist. He wrote Half Earth, and he basically advocates for taking half the Earth and basically saying, cool, no humans at all. You can't live there, you can't mine there, you can't farm there, you can't cut down wood there. And I think that's a really radical idea, but I think that would be incredible. We just did half the world. Cool. You know, you can't. Yeah. So that would be probably my number two. And then number three, I do need more than three, yeah, but it's fine. I'm gonna try and make this a combo. So I think a ban on, I'm gonna say the two largest greenhouse gas emitting industries. So now I technically have four solutions. So number one would be fossil fuel extraction and production, and that includes plastics, because plastics are made from fossil fuels. And number two, so I ban that obviously. And number two, I'll ban animal agriculture, particularly in the context of factory farming. So, you know, anything like that should not be allowed, because ignoring animal welfare, animal agriculture, the statistics vary, you know, the percentages, but it is so high. And everyone knows now how bad methane is, which is the main product of that sort of stuff. And if you ban animal agriculture, there are 10 billion less cows on the planet. I think it's like 50 billion less chickens and stuff on the planet, which means that farmland that's being used, all the forests that are being cut down in the Amazon and stuff to grow animal feed stops as well. So you stop the animal agriculture, and there's this massive knock-on effect for the rest of the agricultural. I want to put an outright ban on two of the largest fossil fuel or greenhouse gas emitting industries. And number one was fossil fuel extraction and production, which includes plastics, because plastics are basically just repurposed oil. And number two is animal agriculture, putting a ban on that almost entirely, I think. I wouldn't say entirely because, you know, I'm vegan, you're vegan, but I don't think, I don't know, but I feel like some people maybe can't survive vegan, so I wouldn't want to, you know.
Actually, I actually have like facts on this. So I have a friend who totally wanted to go vegan. Like he tried like 4 times, and like this last time he was like committed. Like he was like, I'm gonna do this, and he did it for a month, and I'm telling you, he was not the same person when he was vegan. Like he was grumpy. He actually got aching joints. He had like no energy, and he like felt almost like he was sick. And he was like, okay, this really sucks, because then when he ate meat again, like he felt completely better. So yeah, he really, shame. I feel bad for him because he wants to be vegan, but he can't to actually still function. Would like to. So there is definitely, I think some people probably can't survive the way we do.
Yeah, exactly. So I think when I say ban on animal agriculture, I mean factory farming particularly, and just mass production without, I think, mass production of animals. They aren't commodities, but mass production of animals. It's like 10 billion cows a year, and
That's
like
crazy.
30 billion chickens, whatever the number is. I think if you stop that, and meat becomes kind of a niche thing, because it can be if most people are plant-based, or most people are flexitarian. I think all the knock-on effects from animal agriculture, which is dead zones in the ocean from all the nitrogen, and forests being cut down to basically feed the animals. That's an extra, what is it, like 50 billion basically mouths to feed, which is insane. Would stop.
Crazy.
And I think it would also solve, the food problems too. You get some people who are starving because their food that could be given to them is diverted to feed animals, which then the rich Western world eats. So I think that's one of the biggest ones you can actually do. Is let's maybe ban factory farming. Done, out of the way.
Well, I like that. You definitely thought about it. Definitely had a whole action going there.
I did. It's my favorite question. It's so cool.
So, wrapping up, what is one piece of advice or an actionable step you can give our listeners to help them reduce their impacts on the planet?
Nice question. Two. Can I give two? Is two fine?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, you may.
So one is just to stop consuming unnecessarily. I think so often, we think, oh, we need another pair of jeans, or, okay, it's been 2 years, we need a new iPhone, or, even small things like, oh, I'm having a cup of coffee. Let me get a second cup of coffee. You all those small little decisions that add up and they become super impactful. So I think stop consuming unnecessarily, be a conscious consumer. That's number one. And then switch to a predominantly plant-based diet, is number two. Whether that's completely vegan or flexitarian, but study after study has come up that says, the single biggest thing you can do for climate is to be more plant-based, basically. So that would be 1 and 2.
Sure. Cool. Awesome. Yeah. So where can people find you, the Mielie Mailers, all the incredible work that you're doing, and how can they start ordering their own Mielie Mailers and getting involved with that? Cool.
So we have a website, obviously. It's 2020, so we have a website. It's mieliemailer.com. For those who can't spell Millie, there are many ways to spell Millie. We Mielie. That's the Millie we chose. So mieliemailer.com. And Instagram with
the double IE, so it's IE in the beginning and IE at the end.
Yes, exactly, the double IE. I love that. I'm going to use that. So that's our website, and then our Instagram handle is the same. It's Mielie Mailer. And those are kind of our two main places where you can get information. Also have a really cool newsletter, and I really push this newsletter because I really enjoy writing it, first of all, and I feel like education is one of the keys to kind of changing things and getting people moving in the right direction. And we have a weekly newsletter. It's called the Mielie Maverick, and you can find it on our website too. But basically, it's just a rundown of what's going on in the world in terms of climate change, plastic pollution, plant-based eating, all those sort of things. So, yeah, that's what you can find.
Signing up.
Please do.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show, chatting about everything. It was very nice to have you.
It's very nice to chat to you. Very nice to meet you. And thanks so much for doing this as well. Like you're doing cool, awesome things. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I'm gonna have to stop it here now because I actually have to run to another. I'm giving a talk to. Yes, another obligation. So thank you for coming on and doing everything and all the awesome stuff that you're doing. I'm going to share it with everybody and tell everybody to go sign up to your newsletter, get their Mielie Mailers, and get cracking.
Thanks so much, Sahara. I appreciate it.
Enjoying the show? Then please support us so that we can continue making awesome episodes just for you. A minimum donation of 100 Rand will get you or your business listed on the Earth Chats page as a sponsor with a link to you or your business. please visit the link below to make your contribution. Thank you for tuning in to the Earth Chats podcast and supporting the show. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you feel someone else could maybe benefit from hearing this conscious conversation, please do give it a share. And that's it for now, guys. I'll see you next week.